Different year, same old Warner Brothers. It may be different people in the suits, but it's the same mentality. Poor old Zack Snyder just wants to make great movies, which he has done, but Warner Bros. Get in the way each time because of ego. Now, the Snyder Cut was announced last May. Zack Snyder had the idea of shooting additional photography. Of course, $70 million of additional budget for effects, but also to shoot more scenes with Harry Lennox as Martian Manhunter, Jared Leto's Joker, the nightmare sequence, thank God we got that, and also probably some extra bits of dialogue from Ray Porter. Awesome stuff. But Warner Brothers didn't want Zack Snyder to add anything to his Snyder Cut. Now, this comes from Cinema Blend, from Sean O'Connell, the author of hashtag Release the Snyder Cut book. Check that out, guys, as well. Pretty good book. So here, the title is Zack Snyder says the studio had rules about what he couldn't put in his Snyder Cut of Justice League. Ridiculous stuff. Let's get into what Zack had to say. So, let's go. By now, thousands of you have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 4-hour cut of the movie that Snyder and his fans fought for years to see. Snyder is telling fans that this is the unfiltered, raw take on the DC universe. But now that the movie's out, he's also explained that there was some compromise with the studio to ensure that his cut arrived and didn't interfere with the ongoing plans of the studio and the DCEU. So the Warner Bros. Executives think that this is very much a cul-de-sac. Yeah. Zack Snyder was a guest on Cinema Blend's official podcast, Real Blend, where he talked at length about the making of the movie, the meanings of certain scenes, and the conversations that happened during the final stretch of delivery, Justice League, to HBO Max. Snyder told hosts Sean O'Connell, Jake Hamilton, and Kevin McCarthy, pretty good podcast, guys, if you want to check that out, some good guests and news on that, about certain rules. Snyder was opening up about the additional photography that he tackled, which led to the nightmare scene featuring Joker, Jared Leto, Mira, Amber Heard, and Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello, as Snyder explained. And this is what Zack Snyder had to say. I'll just be frank. The studio didn't want me to shoot anything new. One of the rules of the making of the Snyder Cut was that the studio said no shooting of any kind. And then I just, of course, shot stuff anyway. Because suddenly, wait, there's rules now on this? I didn't know, he laughs. That seems unfair. It's called Snyder Cut. And frankly, there are those caveats because there were a lot of things that I won't list them here that the studio did not want me to have in my version of the movie. And I think, frankly, that was all just because they have their own cinematic universe, and that's great. He also went on to say, and they were afraid that what I did might, because they considered the theatrical cut as canon and cut as the Elseworld, and his cut, as the Elseworld kind of movie, other kind of cul-de-sac. We know the terms. So just to say that part again, because they consider the theatrical cut as canon and my cut as the Elseworld, other kind of cul-de-sac. See how Zack put in cul-de-sac after Walter Hamada let that come out in an article? Yeah, that wasn't just by mistake from Walter Hamada or one of those compromises that Zack Snyder agreed to was not featuring Green Lantern in his final scene, which ended up having Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, meeting Martian Manhunter, Harry Lennox, but that was supposed to be a Lantern, specifically John Stewart. The studio asked Zack Snyder not to, and he agreed to replace Stewart with John Johns. But Snyder went on to explain that ultimately he put his foot down and imposed the rules because he had one shot at bringing his Snyder Cut of Justice League to his fans. He told Real Blend, and so they were like, please don't do anything like no dark side coda, that can't be in there. There are the kind of things that were in there, but I looked and I was like, sure, okay, great, do it. I mean, I didn't mean to be subversive and rude, but that was the thing that fans wanted. The deal I had made with the world was that they were going to get the unencumbered Zack Snyder version of Justice League. I don't think anybody in the same position I was would feel any... I wasn't cheating. I wasn't doing like, oh, you broke the rules. That's uncool. But no, I think that they've got like a whole bunch of movies. I have one. If it's a cul-de-sac, why not let Zack do whatever he wants to do in his cul-de-sac movie that won't have any spin-offs, Warner Brothers? He has one, and now it's ours. Justice League is streaming on HBO Max. We'll have plenty more from our conversation with Zack Snyder, and the full podcast interview will be on Real Blend on Monday, March 22nd. Stay tuned. So definitely check that out, guys. So, yeah, you have to compromise again in ways about Green Lantern, about Darkseid, but he said, no, you know what, this is my movie, this is my Snyder Cut. Yeah, you have your larger universe, that's fine, go ahead. I'm not stopping you from making your larger universe. Why stop me from having my cul-de-sac? And Zack mentioned the cul-de-sac there in that interview because those are the things that Walter Hamada, the DC president, was saying about the Snyder Cut, implying about the Snyder Cut that it was a cul-de-sac. A cul-de-sac, huh? It's pretty interesting that it's a cul-de-sac. What, a 98, 97% fan reception on Rotten Tomatoes. The critic reception is pretty good as well. I think it's broken servers in Asia. It's broken the HBO Max servers in the US. It's broken sales 140% more than Wonder Woman 84 did in Brazil. Yeah, cul-de-sac, mate. Yeah, cul-de-sac. But I just don't see how this is a cul-de-sac. And this has actually been a success, bigger than probably Warner Brothers. I bet you Walter Hamada was praying, and Toby Emmerich, that this isn't as a success as terms of what it is right now. Because it looks bad on them. They didn't want Joker, they didn't want Zack Snyder's Justice League. And those are the two biggest talked about IPs from DC, maybe of all time. The reception those two movies got, ridiculous amount of controversy, but also engagement levels. So, yeah, but even Zack Snyder's Justice League has received more than Joker is right now. So, yeah, it's crazy that they still didn't want him to make his vision come to light, even though HBO Max or Warner Media said, yeah, Zack, you can make your Snyder Cut, that's okay, get it out there. And he wanted to add a few things in there. And Warner Bros. Like, no, you're not adding new scenes. Well, if you're adding new scenes, you can't put Jon Stewart in it because we got a plan for him. You can't do the Darkseid Code because we're doing something there. Zack said, fuck it, I'm going to do my own thing. And he compromised on the Green Lantern part. That was supposed to be Bruce Wayne wakes up from the dream, the vision, and he meets Green Lantern, the Green Lantern Corpse. But it was changed with Martian Manhunter. And it still worked, but it would have been cooler probably to see Jon Stewart Green Lantern, but I still think the scene worked. But it just shows you Warner Brothers, they don't like Zack Snyder's world, and they're very much going in their own direction of the DC universe. They really are, with their Flash movie, with their Shazam 2 coming as well, Aquaman 2. Even Aquaman was very different in his own solo movie than he was in the Snyder Cut. So it shows they're going in their own direction. But how can you not greenlit more of the Snyder World when it's such a big success? If this was any other property, if this was, say, Tom and Jerry came out on HBO Max, success, box office, success, critics, success, fans, success, it was just the biggest thing ever. HBO Max would greenlit spin-offs, movies, series about Tom and Jerry because it's such a big success. Why should Zack Snyder's Justice League be any different? If it's a cul-de-sac, fine, it's a cul-de-sac. Let's call it a cul-de-sac. I like that. I like Zack Snyder's Justice League being a cul-de-sac. We'll keep that cul-de-sac on HBO Max. Let Zack Snyder do what he wants. Let him tell individual or expanded stories of his world if he wants, and if it caters to it. And the fans want it, people want it, the critics even want it. They want to see the continuation of this story. So I'm glad Zack Snyder went back. He added additional photography. I'm glad he added the Joker scene because that had so much dialogue for more. Harley Quinn, Lois Lane, Robin, multiple timelines, the truce, Bruce. So much stuff. Even the vision from Cyborg. Superman killing the League, Lois Lane dying, Wonder Woman being burnt. You know, it set up so much stuff, guys, for future projects. And that's what Zack was doing. He was thinking, right, my last shot here now. Now, if this is my last shot, let's go out with a bang. But if it's my last shot, let's leave them wanting more. Let's make Warner Brothers look even worse. They wanted the 2017 version with Joss Whedon. Zack Snyder has proved them wrong right now with his own interpretation of the Justice League. It was more funny than the 2017 version. It's arguably one of the funniest DC films I've ever watched. It's definitely one of the biggest comic book movies. It probably is the biggest scaled comic book movie of all time, and it's probably one of the biggest movies of all time in terms of scale and action and all that kind of stuff. So Zack Snyder's Justice League, for me, huge. It's a success. Critics, money, all that kind of stuff. It's doing pretty well, but it's a cul-de-sac. Walter Hamada, those guys don't have a clue what they're doing. They might greenlit some interesting projects that end up being good, like an Aquaman or a Shazam, but does it have the same energy? Does it have the same hype as Zack Snyder's Justice League has done, or a Man of Steel, or a Batman v Superman? Because I haven't seen that resembled in any kind of form from DC. The only kind was maybe Joker, and they didn't want that. The only other kind of comic book movie history has been the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's a success. But why is DC trying to replicate that? Because it's never going to work. It's never going to work whatsoever. So let's see how the future goes, but it's just a shame that Warner Brothers, even after all these years, even though it's different people in charge, Walter Hamada wasn't there when Justice League came out. It was Kevin Tsuchihara, but Walter Hamada, it's just the same suit, guys, and it's a different face, and it's a cruel reality that we live in. But I hope AT&T, I hope Warner Media or Jason Killar step in and say, why aren't you greenlit more of this world? It's one of the biggest, it's the biggest success on HBO Max history. It's the most viewed trailer ever on our platform. I think it's overtaken The Witches as well. So it's breaking streaming services around the world. Why isn't more happening because of this? And I think AT&T could overrule Walter and Matt and say, look, greenlit this. But I don't think Zack's going to go into production unless he has it in contract that he gets to do what he wants, or within reason what he wants, and they won't interfere. Because if it's a cul-de-sac, let him make his own universe over there. How can it interfere over there if they're doing a different thing altogether? But it's just something to be happy. Guys, what's your thoughts on Warner Brothers not changing their mentality with Zack Snyder, even though Zack Snyder has been proven to be right now? You know, he has won. Zack Snyder's won, guys. It's crazy to think that, but he's won. Not only with general audiences, but with critics. And he has shown Warner Brothers to be the frauds that they are, and the poor decision makers that they are. But guys, what's your thoughts on the whole situation? I hope you love Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know many of you did. Follow me on the channel here. Tomorrow we're going to do a live full breakdown of the Nightmare timeline from Batman v Superman to Zack Snyder's Justice League, Cyborg's vision, and Bruce Wayne's dream about him and Batman and Joker and Deathstroke and Mira and Cyborg and Flash. So we're going to do a full breakdown of that, theories, all that kind of discussion. I hope you guys can join us live. The whole Nightmare breakdown. That'll be interesting and a lot of fun. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this article by Sean O'Connell at Cinema Blend. He got to do an interview with him. Interesting piece there altogether. And yeah, what's your thoughts? I want to hear it. I want Zack to come back and do more, but I don't want him to come back if he has to face these same circumstances that he did back in 2016, 2017. It looks like he would have to if these guys aren't removed from their position, or if Jason Kilar or Warner Media or if AT&T don't step in and say, let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. But guys, yeah, give a like, comment, subscribe, come follow me on all the social medias. That stuff is in the end credits. I'll catch you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Ireland, UK time. And I hope you can join me and have some fun and some really, really good discussions. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good day. Enjoy your life. Do something that makes you happy. Be kind. All that kind of stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow.